Michigan's short track racing authority is Horsepower Happenings.
Charlie Bauer, welcome into Horsepower Happenings.
Scotty Thiel, welcome to Horsepower Happenings.
John Beach, welcome into Horsepower Happenings.
Adam Terry, welcome into Horsepower Happenings.
Paul Pelletier.
Corbin Hazlett, Riley Knoll.
Matt Kemp, Dylan Stovall, welcome into Horsepower Happenings.
From pavement to dirt, modifieds to sprint cars, hear from drivers, promoters, track owners, and many other industry leaders.
We worked on that car for 12 days straight, and when I got to the Speedway Saturday, I was out of gas. I had to take a nap.
You're out there and, you know, that groove, if you're outside of it, you could be a couple tenths off or even half a second off.
It is not the shock that you've won all these races. You know what I mean? There's so many pieces to the puzzle to make these cars go fast.
I don't care what he says. I saw a thing on Facebook on somebody's post that's now been deleted that one of his crew guys said that the spotter told him car low and I wrecked him.
With over 50 years of experience from racing to management, here are Zach Heiser and Rich Franz.
Good evening, race fans, and welcome into Horsepower Happenings. A full show lined up for you tonight. 2 first-time guests, and things are out of order, so hang on to your pants. But first, here's what's happening in a Mark News Minute. In the world of NASCAR, all 3 major divisions were in action over the weekend from Naval Base Coronado. In the Truck Series, Lane Riggs, right place, right time for like his 3rd or 4th win of the season. Lane Riggs is on fire here recently. He benefits from late race chaos to go to victory lane on Friday. Saturday, it's Austin Hill with a last lap move around Taylor Gray. He also kind of benefited from some late race chaos. He was able to be in the right place at the right time. And how about, speaking of time, Heim time, Corey Heim out dueling and then benefiting from a cut tire for Tyler Reddick to win his first Cup race in just his 13th start. We'll talk more about that coming up in just a little while. David Gravel picked up the biggest payday in World of Outlaws NOS Energy Drink Sprint Car history, pocketing $300,000. Is that a typo? My Lord. At the Hussets High Bank National on Saturday night, it was his 6th win of 2026 and the 126th World of Outlaw win in his career. The Mountain Moonshine Classic took place at Smoky Mountain Speedway this weekend for the Lucas Oil Late Model Dirt Series. B. Shep took home 40-lap feature win on Friday night. Mac Daddy Dale McDowell taking home $30,000 with his 50-lap feature win on Saturday. And by the way, Bobby Pierce, a big winner up in Wisconsin at 141 over the weekend to the tune of $25,000 with the World of Outlaws. Last 2 things, Carson Brown from North Carolina traveled all the way to Wisconsin to show the Badger boys how it's done Sunday night at Slinger Super Speedway. Brown led the final 112 laps and held off Wisconsin's own Ty Majeski to get the win. And how about Max Reeves? He was fast in the Money in the Bank a couple of weeks ago at Berlin Raceway, and those notes paid off. He went to victory lane in the ARCA Menards National Series Saturday at Berlin. And also want to give a shout out to friend of the program, Matt Kemp, on his top 10 and lead lap finish Saturday at Berlin. Those things and so much more happening tonight on Horsepower Happenings. Good evening. Welcome in. I'm Zach Heiser. And Rich Franz and our first guest of the night join us to kick things off. Rich, we have no buffer time tonight with our news segment. We've got a movie date coming up here for Nick and his daughters, I think, right? Is that what you said, Nick?
Yeah.
As we welcome in our first guest, Nick Clemens. What's going on, sir?
Hey, guys. Thanks for having me, and thanks for being accommodating. I got an 11-year-old daughter. Toy Story came out on Friday. We were racing, so we get to do a movie.
All right. I'm eyeballing if we're going to go see Minions and Monsters with my 6-year-old anytime soon. So let me know what the review is on Toy Story. Okay, so let's get into this. I found an interesting post today from somebody with the Hot Shoe 100 saying that, you know, you're the most decorated guy to not ever win the Hot Shoe. And you add to kind of the accolades over the weekend, 1 start in 2026, 1 win at Birch Run Speedway and Event Center, coming out of the gate swinging in 2026, it looks like.
Yeah, you know, I don't know if that's the greatest thing to hang my hat on, being the most successful non-winner. But you know, we built another new car over the winter, and I'll be honest, the month and a half we had off with the rainouts and stuff at Birch Run kind of really worked to my benefit. I spent a lot of time by myself in the shop, you know, working on other guys' cars and trying to keep everybody else on the track. So that extra time, I think, paid off. I was able to cross some T's and dot some I's a little bit, and I was pleasantly surprised on Friday night.
Yeah, and so let's talk about this. You know, good versus bad, racing, not racing, right? I mean, it's already the end of June, right? And you're 2 races in. Other guys, you think of like maybe a first one that comes to my mind are all the guys who are running this Michigan modified deal. The Brian Bergacres, the Tanner Tallaricos, the David McManuses, the list goes on and on. Do those guys have a leg up on you already, or is it not that big of a deal?
I'm 3 decades into modified racing now, so I've pretty much seen it all. So the experience always helps, dealing with the tires and everything else and knowing who you're racing with. But it hasn't been a huge hindrance to me just because I've done it so much, over the last 20 plus years. I started in modifieds in 2003, so we've put some time in, and we kind of can just hit the ground running once we have things going. So it kind of helps out that way.
Nick, I don't think it's a knock, man. To be the most decorated guy that's never won a hot shoe. I mean, we look at this division every single year, and Northern Indiana, Michigan, North Ohio, man, the fields that are being put out in this modified class are just unbelievable.
Yeah, it's stacked top to bottom. I mean, you and not to knock any other divisions, you show up to a racetrack and you usually can pick out 3 or 4 guys that will probably win that night. When we go to a big modified race, I mean, you're stacking the field with 15, 20, 25 track champions, guys that have won races. I mean, we're probably the most well-received local division right now as far as, you get some of those bigger races and everybody just shows up. Even super late model guys jump down to the division. You got guys stepping up to the division. It's just like they're coming from everywhere, and the competition is just so tough.
And it's got to feel pretty good. I mean, you get off on the right foot, for the most part, a home game for you, and that's got to make you feel pretty good.
Yeah, I cut my teeth at Birch Run in a modified. I've been doing that for a long time, and it's easy to go back there. It's like riding a bike. I was telling my buddy Terry, he finished second the other night, and he's only raced there a handful of times, and you get back there and it's just like home. You get on the track and everything just feels right, and it doesn't take much to get reacclimated.
Owasso, Birch Run, some Lorraine, kind of a mixed bag. Whittemore in there even as well. Last season, 13 features on the My Race Pass app. Obviously, there are tracks that you may have visited that aren't on there. A feature win to go along with that. Yep. And you started racing April 26th. I mean, you came right out of the gate racing last year. Is it a concerted effort to stay a little closer to home this year?
No, not really. It's more so just the way family and work has kind of lined up. I'm a high school principal during the day, so we get into May and you're talking prom and graduation, and we had a trip to Washington D.C. this year. So all that stuff. I'm a family person first, and then I got work, and then racing takes a third step. So it's just kind of the way things lined up this year between the 2 rainouts and then the work stuff. And then my daughter's an avid volleyball player at 11 years old. She's playing 12U volleyball. So we went to States one weekend in Grand. But just, this time my daughter's at that age and work, being high school principal, just April and May are always really shy, difficult to find some time to go to the track.
Well, I want to break down this weekend, and we'll start with Friday, and then we'll move on to what you did Saturday because it's your first weekend in the books. I'm going to say, for what we've seen outside of Owasso and the Michigan Modifieds, modified counts have been spotty this year. And so glad for Birch Run to get a dozen or so modifieds. I mean, take that for what it is. I think that people, not to go on a complete rant here, Rich, but I think people need to start kind of tampering their expectations of full field sizes right now in any division, at any racetrack, anywhere in the country. Pause. Let's get back to what I'm talking about here. Good field of modifieds showed up on Friday night is my point, Nick. You've got guys like Scott Quall. You've got Terry there. You've got Tim Lahar there. Kyle Mackey's there. Lonnie brings his modified, right? This is a big field of cars that are very capable of winning around this racetrack. And when the feature time comes, you roll off 5th. Talk about how you look at this field and how you prep for this 35-lap feature.
It was all relatively new. We got a little bit of practice on the car, prior to race day. So we kind of had an idea what we had, but we hadn't put new tires or anything on it. And we were sitting okay in practice. And we put tires on for qualifying, and we jumped right near the top of the speed board. And I'm like, holy cow, I think we got something to work with here. And then we went out in the heat race, and shoot, we were a tenth faster than our qualifying time. And I'm like, oh, okay, we got something really to work with. And we got into the feature, and, we've raced with all these guys enough to know, you kind of figure out who you can race with and who you got to be careful around and just be smart about it. And we got going, and, I got into Lonnie early on the back bumper and turned him, and I tapped out and had to go to the rear. And luckily, a couple cautions broke my way. And once we got outside on that last restart, I knew that we had a really strong car. It was just a matter of I also had another FRD car on the inside of me, and so just making sure we raced hard and raced clean, and got to be able to clear them.
So you get the win. You kind of see how you stack up against the competition. Do you hold yourself to that expectation that you should have come out of the box and won on Friday night, or was that exceeding what you thought you'd be able to do in the first race of the year?
You never know. Some people call it new car blues. Sometimes you just sort out the bugs, but that is the expectation in our shop. I mean, we're not very big. It's myself, my wife, my kid, and my dad. Those are the people that go to the track with me. So, but we do have high expectations. My dad has probably higher expectations for me than I do. He's very old school. Yeah, I don't know. You could probably count on one hand how many times he's told me that he loved me, but you can tell when he's got that look after a feature, like he won't say it, but he'll say it with his body language.
There you go. Hey, that's pretty cool too that Rich is old. I'll tell Rich he's old, but I don't know how old you are, Nick. So that's cool that you're still able to race with your dad is what I'm getting at.
Yeah. So my dad will be close. He'll be 69 next year, next January. I'm
wow,
40.
Rich, you are old.
I'm not 69.
You could be Nick's dad, is what I'm hearing.
Oh, geez.
I'll be 43 in December, so it's cool. He got me into it when I was a little kid. He's always been a drag racer. There's a '63 Chevy 2 sitting behind me over here, and he made the decision to get me in circle track when I was a kid in quarter midgets, and it kind of just stuck. And so I don't have any savings because he got me get into this disease.
So Nick, we talked a few minutes before you came on the program. So you also went to Angola. Kind of the same exact thing happened. How are we going to get you? We just got to work on getting you not to go to the rear, and we could probably save you a whole lot of work of getting to the front.
How many times I heard that this weekend after Angola, my buddies. I think there was a whole Facebook thread about it, but I'm competitive. I want to win every lap. I want to win every race, and sometimes that's to a detriment. I try to be a gentleman. If I take accountability if I screw up. I think Saturday was a little bit of a racing deal. He restarted on the outside of me, and we drove down into 3 and 4. And I'm new to racing Angola, so I don't know if this is a natural line. He drove from the third groove to the bottom coming off, and I was committed, and we touched. He spun. They sent me to the rear. Can't be mad about it. I don't know if I should have stuck my nose in there or not, just because I don't race there enough with those guys. But it is what it is. It kind of hampered the night because we had a really fast race car.
And you kind of got to always worry about that, right? I mean, I love watching the modifieds, and you get those tires heated up and you get some laps in, those things start dancing around. You got a lot of horsepower you're dealing with. You really can't get up there and get tire to tire with somebody unless it's somebody you really trust.
Yeah, that's the dicey thing about open wheel cars, especially if you're racing around a bunch of guys you don't really know. And that's kind of the case on Angola. I stuck it down in there. I probably could have saved myself a headache and backed out. And I was already committed when he came down, and I kind of just turned him. It wasn't anything malicious or anything like that. It's just part of the deal, I guess. Just it happens sometimes.
Yeah, and I want to ask about this event, because for you to come all the way from Clio to come down here to Angola, Clio, right? Do I have that right? Yeah. To come down to Angola, the Dave Nestor Memorial, you said there was a mess of cars there on Saturday night. Just talk about this event and obviously the Nestor name is pretty synonymous with modified racing first and foremost, but what led you to make the haul?
Yeah, so we've raced with Dave Nestor, going back to when I ran the tour full time back in 2015. Always a good guy, always welcoming. There was a good stretch of time where I did some work for Brian and those guys, did some bodies when they were starting out doing their deal. And it's just cool to go support other racers. And, when I was younger, we always used to bounce around track to track. We went to the North-South Shootout in Carolina a couple years in a row. We go to Toledo, Ohio. We've been to the Snowball Derby. We like to just chase races when we can. And because we hadn't really started the season off racing a whole lot, I'm like, this is an opportunity to go, race for some money, race some good cars, and see where we stack up. Especially after Friday night with the showing that we had, I felt like we had a pretty competitive race car to go down there. So you get sent to the back, but then you're able to claw your way back up toward the front. Yeah.
Are runs like that more telling of what your car is than if you were able to just be up front and run up front all night, like to be able to pass all those cars and work your way back up? Are those more telling performances than if you were to be up front from the very beginning?
I think to an extent they are, because working in traffic is totally different than when you have the track to yourself out front. I mean, it's kind of like hot laps. If you got a good car and you hit your marks every time out front, as long as you don't deal with a whole lot of pressure, you're pretty well set and you don't wear out equipment. When you get to the back and you've got 24 guys that are feature winners and should be there, it's hard to get around some of those guys. And to be able to, go back, I think we restarted like 19th or 20th. It was only like 3 or 4 laps into the race. Got all the way up into the top 10, and we were battling those guys at the end, even to get close to the top 5. I think we wore out tires a little bit, but we were clawing with those guys and getting back towards the front.
Yeah, for sure. I want to take a quick second here to thank our partner for tonight's interview. That is Competition X Sports. Now, we're talking to a modified pavement guy, but there is a little bit of a collusion here because Competition X Sports, they deal in ADC die-cast cars. And here's the thing. 1/24th scale or 1/64th scale die cast of national and locally recognized late model drivers, including Mason Vanderveen, Bryant Dickinson. They're on the website right now, plus drivers like Tim McCready, Brandon Shepard, Nick Hoffman, Dale McDowell, Shannon Babb, Dennis Erb. Run down the list. Now, those are the dirt late model guys. The dirt modified guys, what about guys like Brian Ruhlman, Jacob Trumner, Mitchell Hunt? Okay, they all have die cast available as well on competitionexports.com. Now, let me tell you something about die casts, okay? Some of them you get pretty lame, okay? Yeah, die casts are cool any way you slice it. These ones from ACD or ADC and Competition Exports are not lame. I'm telling you what, the hoods come off, the suspension moves, the tires turn. Rich, I told you this after I saw one of them up close and personal. You can count the spark plug wires on these die casts when you take the hoods off. They are very cool. Check them out online, competitionexports.com. Find your favorite driver, find your favorite design, and get one ordered. Now, drivers and teams, and even a guy, like Nick Clemens, who, it's not a dirt modified, it's a pavement modified, but they're pretty darn close. You could get in on a program to get your own die casts made and sold and get a little money in your bank account before the end of the season with Competition Exports. Again, find out more, competitionexports.com. Rich?
Nick, I know you haven't been able to participate yet, but I think last year, when the Midwest Modifieds Tour kind of closed the doors, I think everybody was wondering what the heck was going to go on with modifieds in the region. And, Zach and I have talked about it before, what Rex Wheeler and Jeff Striegel are doing with that modified division, which they didn't have to get together and do that. I think that's a pretty cool deal, don't you think?
Yeah, I mean, anytime you get tracks working together, it's better for the racers, right? The schedules line up and the rules line up and all those things. And so I think it's a great deal. I mean, Rex has done a great job with it. Also, the things that he's done over there and the payout that, he's able to maintain. I mean, that's the reason we were able to race so much last year, is because it was more affordable to go to the racetrack. So just to see those guys working together and bring something to Michigan when the tour kind of went away was really cool to see.
So I got to ask you, because I don't know the answer, so you might just say nope. Doubleheader this weekend at Owasso, Friday and Saturday. Go for Broke 150.
Oh, yeah.
Is it calling your name?
Oh, yeah. That's why we're out here in the shop right now. We got home from Angola 3:30 a.m. Sunday morning. We were out in the shop by 10, getting everything unloaded, turned around. I got wheels dismounted tonight, changing oil, starting on the maintenance and all that stuff. And so our program, once we get going, we try to turn it around pretty quickly as long as things, hold up. And so that's what we're doing tonight, just getting some maintenance in before we go to the movies.
And I thought you did that shot just for Zach and I. Go figured.
It's a good backdrop.
Yeah, it is not. Yeah, I like it. I love that. I love that machine. You got one of the best wraps around, man.
Thank you.
It is a clean, good-looking race car. What is the preparation like? It's a little different. I think guys on the dirt, obviously the Dan Slay Memorial was this past weekend. We'll talk about that coming up in just a little while. 3 days of racing, one racetrack. The dirt guys are a little more tuned up for, multi-day events. What sort of preparation do you have to do to get ready? Because, pavement guys, I guess, just are not big on doubleheader weekends. Now, obviously, you did it this weekend kind of on your own with a Friday, Saturday race. But to be in one spot with a doubleheader format where both days mean something in this Go for Broke, what sort of things do you have to do to get ready?
I think it's just boils down to the stuff in the shop. I've already got sets of wheels dismounted. We're going through all the maintenance, wheel bearings, stuff like that, just making sure everything's good to go. Once we get to the track, it's a lot of hurry up and wait. You get mounted tires, and then you go through your practice, and then it's kind of drawn out a little bit. So it's just having a little bit of patience too, not getting too up or too down on it, and just kind of going with the flow a little bit. I'm pretty easy going. I don't get too high or too low. I'm been through the motions enough to know what it is with all the hot shoes we've been through and stuff like that. So you kind of you have a routine, you get to the track, you get everything unloaded, you get everything prepped, and kind of just go about your business. I treat it like a normal race day. There's nothing really different other than, the extra stuff we got to take, for, if we have to have spares or an extra set of wheels and stuff like that. It's really not too much because we travel so light anyway.
What does your team look like as far as a 2-day show? How much is falling on your shoulders, and how much help do you have?
So like I said earlier, it's my wife, my kid, my dad. And then I drive the hauler, I prep the car. The only thing my dad really does anymore is he helps with the drivetrain. So he'll lash the valves, he'll, rebuild transmissions, stuff like that. But generally speaking, like it's me out in the shop. My wife and kid will come out and hang out with me. They draw sidewalk chalk in the shop. My wife comes out with a White Claw or a Truly and hangs out with me a little bit. They love it just as much as I do. And so it's just, we travel, we got friends. And when we go to the track, Terry Trost and his family are a good group. The Lakotas are a good close-knit group of ours, all good friends. And so usually we show up, the four of us, and then if we need help, those guys are there to help us.
I love that the Diet Pepsis will flow in the Clemens race shop. That's our code here on Horsepower Happening. So good for you guys.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Rich.
Yeah, no, I was wondering, you did it this week. Going from Birch Run to Angola, but this is going to be, I think, at Owasso a little bit more aggressive for what's on the line, Nick. So how do you manage? Do you change how you drive, knowing you got to do this 2 days and you don't want to be working on the car overnight on Friday if something happens?
Sure. Yeah. So I was actually talking with Terry and Nick today. We have a little group chat, and it's going to be a little bit of an interesting event because qualifying isn't as important as you would think to, like a hot shoe or something like that, because we're taking 48 cars into the qualifiers. And so, and then they're inverting the two qualifier races. So you got to be a little bit conscious about qualifying and how you're going to get into that top 12 in that qualifier, because, the racer and us, you want to go out there and you want to lay down the best lap you can in qualifying. But, you start looking at the format a little bit and you're like, well, is that really the best thing to do? Because you set yourself up to have to really work harder to get into that top 12. So
but you could do it. You proved it this weekend, right? You could go, we're going to put you at the tail. Yeah. You're good. You're comfortable back there.
Yeah. We've always been, we're going to go out and push it as hard as we can. We're going to lay down the lap that we can, and whatever it is, it is. But I do think there will probably be some guys gaming the system a little bit if it sticks, that they're going to, take top 48 if you can get in the top 48 at Owasso and, end up in the 30-35 range, you're going to set yourself up pretty good to get in that A main. So I think some guys are probably going to game the system. We're going all out. That's all we know. We try to be as good as we possibly can. We don't want to leave anything on the table. So we'll deal with it, let the cards fall where they may, and hopefully we've got a good 50 laps in the qualifier.
I've seen people try doing that before, Nick, and it bites them in the tail every single time. I don't think anybody's that. I have yet to meet a race car driver around here.
Let's ask, because Nick is adamant that you cannot sandbag a tenth or 1,000.
You think you lose a tenth, it ends up being 4/10, and you're screwed.
Nick, can you sandbag a tenth of a second?
Yeah, you can. If you've been doing it long enough, you can. Especially if you look at the event, though, like Owasso, usually you're looking at a top 16 to top 24 you're trying to get into. You got 48 cars, the spread's going to be 4 or 5 tenths between 48 cars when it's all said and done. So, you got a big window to hit there.
Yeah, just go for it. And there's so many other idiosyncrasies with this event. Like, I was just reading through the rules and procedures quickly here while you were talking to Rich. There's a breakout rule at Owasso Speedway that the top 5 qualifiers are exempt from. So if you can put yourself in the top 5 in qualifying and find more speed throughout the weekend, I think that's a good thing. You talk about the odds and evens features, but let's remember, if you finish in the top 12 in either of those features, your finishing position is virtually, it does not matter, because the fans are going to randomly draw your starting position. Now, as a fan, Nick, I got to imagine you think that's cool and that's exciting. What about as a race car driver, knowing that you could go out there and win an odd or even feature and roll off 24th?
I don't mind that so much. That's a little bit of fate, and we're kind of used to that with some of the redraw with the Midwest Modified Tour. I like that a little bit better than knowing that there's a total invert in the qualifier race.
Well, because now you do get the guys, right,
Yeah.
that try to play the system, and now it doesn't matter.
Yeah. So, and plus, there's a big discrepancy between the guy that qualified 47th or 48th and that guy that qualified first. Also the times are a little bit tighter, but with 48 cars, there's going to be a little bit of a spread there that, I hope for the sake of the racing and the guys that are racing that it doesn't cause some chaos.
And Nick, I got to go back on that, because I don't think unless you've and I'm going to give it its word, because that's what it is, sandbagging, right?
Sure.
Unless you've been doing that a while, if you don't do it very often, and I don't see the guys in this modified class doing it, these guys are going after it in qualifying.
Sure.
If you just try to do it for one show, you're really going to screw yourself, because you just don't know how much time you're going to lose when you crack that throttle once in each corner.
Right. Yeah. It may not even happen. It's just, you always have that thought in the back of your head, because it's all about track position in that qualifier. Qualifying is just to get you in. Right. So it's just one of those things that you have to be leery about. Hopefully nobody tries it. Hopefully everybody goes for what they have, and, we just let the dust settle where it is. But that's always a thought when you have a format like that could be a possibility, somebody gaming the system like that.
Just start at the tail. Volunteer to start at the tail. You're better back there. You're better back there.
If I get it first, I don't worry about it, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Man, this is huge too. Like, this is not a top heavy purse either. The main event for 24 cars, this is a $55,000, almost a $56,000 purse for the main event. The odds and evens pay all the way through the field. Those are $19,000 purses each. And if you don't even make the show, the non-qualifier purse is $8,600.
Yeah.
So you're not gonna make money. You're not gonna come out in the green, but you're almost guaranteed to get a decent, check this weekend, no matter how you do.
Yeah. So what we're looking at is, for us to do this event, it's going to cost about $2,000. You got tires, fuel, pit passes, stuff like that. So before you hit the gate, you're looking at $2,000. So looking at the payout, the qualifier, if you get in, you're, $650, $700 you're going to make on that. Then you're going to $1,000 if you start the A main. So you're looking at close to break even if everything goes well. So you can tolerate that as a racer. I mean, it's a hobby. Nobody's getting rich doing this. So if you can minimize the loss and have a good weekend and put the car in the trailer, it's really, that's what it's financially about for this side of things.
Breaking even is huge.
Yeah, that's a win. That's a win.
Yeah.
What is the possibility there? And I'm just saying, for anybody in the field, and I don't know that we really know for sure who all is entered in. I know that they've done some pre-registrations and things like that.
Yeah.
But by my math, I think that we're near, like, if you had a perfect weekend, you could walk away. Is it 14 grand?
19.
How did they get to 19? Because you get $1,000 bonus for being fast qualifier.
Yes.
Then it's $2,500 to win, and then $10,500 to win the main event.
Then $100 a lap to lead.
Oh, I forgot about lap money.
You forgot about that sandbagger on the pole, right?
I did. Okay. Well, let's just put lap money aside, because anything can happen.
Sure.
So without lap money, it's a $14,000 weekend if you can be fast qualifier, win your qualifier race, and win the main event. Is there somebody out there that can do that, Nick?
Speaking to Owasso, probably the guy to beat right now is honestly David McManus. He broke the track record a couple weeks ago. He's won, I think, the first 2 races there. Credit to him. He's been really, really good there the last couple of years. And I think that carried over this year. And he's definitely probably the guy at the top of the podium right now, as far as the person to beat. So I think I want to challenge him based on the results last weekend, but we haven't really been to Owasso yet to know. But right now, if I had to pick somebody just the way he's raced this year, it's probably him so far.
So I watched David a couple times, right? And at Owasso, and it seems like, I hope everybody doesn't get mad at me, but it seems like he's playing with him. I mean, he's just that fast this year. I mean, last year he won some features and he's won the championships, right, at Birch Run and Owasso. But this year it just seems like he's got a little, I don't know if anybody's not trying or he's a step ahead of the game, but it just seems like he's that much better than them, Nick, don't you think?
Yeah, he's been good out of the box this year. I think he's stepped it up a notch even from last year where he was really good. And so he's definitely set the bar so far this year. I'd like to think it's the water down here in Mount Morris. We went to the same high school. So we're gonna hang our hat on that it's the water down here in Mount Morris.
Hey, you just beat him at Birch Run on Friday. So, if we're looking at power rankings on the Mark News site, which we will be coming up soon, you might have a leg up on him there. But all right, so preparation for this weekend is happening. What else is going on? Again, we talked about it at the top of the interview. The Hot Shoe 100 page had to poke you in the side this week. Is that on your list? What do you have planned for this year?
Yeah, so I mean, we're gonna hit all the Birch Run races. Our big sponsor, they sponsor the modified division of Birch Run, so that's our commitment. We'll hit the Owasso races that we can when they match up with our schedule. The Hot Shoe is going to be on the radar, and then when we get towards the end of the year, if things are still going in the right direction, we try to bounce around. We've hit Lorraine in the past couple of years. We try to go somewhere new just to keep the racing going before the cold sets in.
Rich, anything to close us out here with?
No,
Nick
I just think this has been a fun conversation.
Yeah.
So okay, I'm a gambler, Nick. Handicap your chances. Do I bet on you this weekend?
I wouldn't bet against me. How about that?
Good enough for me. That was a quick answer too. That's what I liked about it.
The confidence is high. Keep an eye on Nick Clemens this weekend at the Go for Broke 150 50-lap qualifier races, a pair of them. There's the first 100, then a 50-lap main event paying $10,500 to win. Plus, this is not peon lap money either. $100 per lap led in additional bonus money. So good luck to everybody going out there. Nick, do you think we'll see 50-plus modifieds this weekend?
I think that's going to be close. I think the cost is going to be a little bit of a barrier for some. We talk about registration, 2 sets of tires, stuff like that. I've been fortunate enough to have some support to be able to do that, but I know that not everybody has that. So it'll be interesting to see with this kind of format and the resources you have to put out to get back. I'm hoping that we get 50, 60 cars. I'd be happy with 48. I'd be happy with the best 24 that they can throw out there too.
Sure.
So.
Yeah, good point. Nick, I appreciate you making time, man. Thanks for making your Horsepower Happenings debut. Congratulations on the win on Friday at Birch Run, and good luck this weekend.
Appreciate you guys. Thanks for having me on. You guys take care.
All right, we'll take a quick break. When we come back, Rich and I go over the news and winners from the weekend, and then Jacob Sabaj coming up in just a little while. This is the Horsepower Happenings Podcast.
The Horsepower Happenings Podcast is Michigan's short track racing authority. For nearly a decade, Horsepower Happenings has given race fans a chance to hear directly from their favorite drivers, local track owners, and promoters. Horsepower Happenings is the only podcast keeping fans engaged with Michigan area racing for 52 weeks a year. Don't miss the Horsepower Happenings Podcast live on Facebook every Monday night at 6:30 and available everywhere you enjoy podcasts. Visit horsepowerhappenings.com and follow on Facebook, Instagram, X, and YouTube.
Friday and Saturday, June 26th and 27th, it's the Go for Broke 150 at Owasso Speedway, powered by Lunghammer Ford of Owasso. Friday night brings the Valley Freightliner Modifieds, Durotech Mini Wedges, and stick around after racing for a party in the pits. Saturday, the Modifieds return with the Applebee's Oil and Propane Sport Compacts, and it all builds to the Go for Broke main event, $10,500 to win and $100 to each lap leader. Front gates open at 4 with racing starting at 6 both nights. Don't miss the high-octane 2-night showdown at Owasso Speedway.
Think your camper handled the winter just fine? Think again. Every time the temperature fluctuates, drop moisture freezes and expands, turning tiny hairline cracks into major pathways for water. That freeze-thaw cycle is a silent killer for RV seals. If you haven't had a professional roof and exterior sealant inspection this spring, you're likely towing a leak you can't see yet. Midwest Camper Repair specializes in catching that winter damage before it reaches your interior. We're mobile and we check it all from the roof to the floor. Don't let a winter crack ruin your summer fun. Call Midwest Camper Repair today and start the season sealed tight. Call 419-799-1171. That's 419-799-1171. Or visit MidwestCamperRepair.com. Serving the tri-state area from the roof to the floor, Midwest Camper Repair has you covered.
KG Media is your home for all things photography, race day social media, and more. Cody Geyer brings more than a decade of experience working with the top brands in short track racing. From individual photos to full race days, social media to PR, KG Media can make your race team, racetrack, or touring series stand out. For more information, go to marknews.org or visit KG Media on Facebook.
Welcome back to the Horsepower Happenings Podcast, and we're a little out of order tonight to help get Nick in. to the show. So he's got a movie night with his daughter, and so we didn't want to step on that, but we wanted to get him on the program. So we're going to backtrack a little bit. We already did the Mark News Minute. Now let's get into some news headlines and results from the weekend. Rich France welcoming you in once again here from across the way. I want to stop and say, how about another friend of the program going to Victory Lane on a Sunday in the NASCAR Cup Series? What'd you think of that?
You know, we should say we saw it all along from CRA Speedfest when we saw him win down at Cordele, and he wasn't scared of Bubba Pollard or Stephen Nasse in that race at all back then, right? But no, Corey Heim, he's been dominating. I mean, he's been dominating the Truck Series, right? Did you expect him in NASCAR? I'm not going to say I expected to win in his first 13 races, but I mean, the kid's a wheelman, Zach. I mean, no other way to put it. He's a wheelman.
Yeah, I liked one of the quotes, which I heard it from Denny Hamlin, but he was quoting another driver. I think it might have been Ryan Blaney, who said next year Corey Heim is going to be a problem. Because remember, his first 13 starts in the Cup Series have all been spot starts. They have not been like strung together 13 consistent starts, getting used to the car, getting a tempo, getting a rhythm. They've been very sporadic. And then, I think this actually played into his favor a little bit, going to a course that nobody had any notebooks on. I think that does help. It's kind of like when the next gen car did make its debut. You saw some teams that weren't any good in the last generation car all of a sudden be good because nobody had any notes on how to run this thing. I think that played into his hand a little bit, but don't take anything away from Corey Heim. He's been running up front in these other races as well. He just hasn't been going to Victory Lane like he did on Sunday.
It wouldn't surprise me if he won another race in 2026. Wouldn't surprise me at all. I wouldn't even blink twice if he was able to do that.
Yeah, very cool for him. Glad to see that. Then how about Max Reeves, man? We saw him in the Money in the Bank, top 5 performance in the template late model, super late model portion of the Money in the Bank, and then just absolutely took the field to school on Saturday at Berlin. Good job by him.
Yeah, you had to feel comfortable getting back in an ARCA car, right? Because he was pretty fast in a super late model, but just wasn't quite putting it in Victory Lane, right?
Right.
He was giving that a shot, but yeah, put him back in an ARCA car, and wow, right back in Victory Lane for Max Reeves.
It's so hard to tell. Do you think that Max Reeves goes somewhere? It's really hard to tell what the talent's going to be like out of the ARCA, pool of drivers. William Sawalich has kind of stalled out. Giovanni Ruggiero obviously is still making his climb through the ranks. Is Max Reeves the next one that we see go through the ladder?
I think what's it all come down to, Zach? What's money behind him, right?
Yeah.
Who's going to get behind him and give him the money and pay the team to move him along? And that's the only thing. That's why you're just seeing him in ARCA and super late models right now. I'm sure Max Reeves would love to be running a truck every weekend. I'm sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, let's talk about some racing from over the weekend. First and foremost, a couple of things. A lot of injuries this week since our last program, and I'm going to kind of go out of order here, Rich, so that it's in chronological order of how things happened. We go all the way back to last Monday night. This happened probably while we were on the air during our show. 3 photographers struck and injured during an event at Wayne County Speedway for Ohio Sprint Speed Weeks, Rich. Those, of course, were Rick Rare of SprintCarNews.com, Chase Grimm of Chase G Productions, and Kyle Henline of Ohio Motorsports Photography, all injured on Monday night, some worse than others. Rick Rare probably the worst of all of them. All of them doing well. Rick had some surgeries, broken leg, a brain bleed at one point. He did have the worst of things. The good news is things are going really well for him. But I saw the video, not of the incident in the infield, but I saw a video from Wayne County Speedway, Rich, and there were about 962 photographers in that infield. At least that's what it looked like. There were vests everywhere. And even as a person who owns a media company, where do you draw the line on letting people into the infield to cover these events? And do you think that that's going to start being a conversation now moving forward?
Well, I think you have to have the barrier there. It does. I mean, I don't care if you have 1,000 photographers, if there's a barrier, but there's got to be a barrier between the race cars and the photographers. Obviously they want to get the best photo, right? They're in competition for that. But but Zane DeVault's got to be feeling terrible about it wasn't his fault. I mean,
Right.
he did nothing on purpose or wrong. It was wrong place, wrong time for those guys. And, I mean, it happened, but I think you got to deal with the barriers. You just can't let them go wherever they want to go, especially on a dirt track with sprint cars.
Yeah, and you'll also notice too that tracks like, even I'll give props to Tim Wilbur and his crew at Butler Motor Speedway. They have brand new barriers put in. They're kind of like construction barriers put in at their racetracks, or at their racetrack rather, and all the media personnel are instructed you have to stay within this 3/4 square to get your shot, because we've seen it several times, Rich, not so much you, but I have in all the years that I've spent going to Butler. Those cars get turned sideways, they keep their foot in it, they cut right through the infield, and they keep on going, and then the dust is everywhere. Even if you're wearing a vest, you can't see them. So that's a huge step in the right direction, and I think too, I had this conversation on Friday at I-96 with a great photographer that we've got a relationship with. I think it's the responsibility now of these media personnel too to start making sure they're protecting themselves, and being mindful of where they're at.
And the other that nobody's talking about, keep your head on a swivel.
Yeah.
You can't turn your back to these racetracks. Why would you want it? You don't know what's going to happen behind you, especially like you said. I mean, I've been to Butler and seen the sprint cars there before. They get around those corners in a hurry, and some guys run pretty low in the corners, right? Everybody just doesn't go right up to the top side of Butler, and if something goes wrong, they're just going to go off the top.
Right.
You can't count on that, right? So keep your head on a swivel, man. Do not turn your back to the racetrack. I think that's huge with having the barriers.
Well, and that was one thing I was always taught growing up, is never turn your back on a race car. And I said that to a photographer a couple of weeks ago, and they said, well, that's my job. And I said, well, you got to figure out another way to do your job, because I mean, I understand when they're all strung out and you're in lap traffic, it's hard, but you got to know where the pockets of action are, and you got to know where the most likelihood of somebody getting out of control is. And yeah, like you said, keep your head on a swivel. It's dangerous. That's another reminder that our sport is dangerous. And we had another one of those on Friday, Rich, at I-96 Speedway in the opening heat race of the Interstate Racing Association, the IRA sprint cars. Corbin Gurley goes for a big tumble in turns 1 and 2. And actually, I'll be honest, it looked like kind of a casual sprint car flip. He did get some air. But again, Rich, it's what we've been seeing over these last 5 years. That last landing from that 12 car was square on all 4 tires. The shocks had already blown out. So it was square frame to racetrack. And come to find out, 3 fractured vertebrae, the result for Corbin Gurley, second time now in his career that he's suffered a broken back. And we're glad that he's in good spirits. He's been posting on social media. He's been responding to comments. But Rich, another square landing in a sprint car and another back injury for a sprint car driver. Another one to the tally.
Yeah, and what did we just come off of? I mean, last year, Tyler Courtney, Anthony Macri still, right? Aaron Reitzel with the foot injury. I mean, it's not always your back. You got to be careful. These guys, these are the best in the business, and they're getting hurt. I think that's the first time Tyler Courtney's been really hurt and had to miss most of it, a whole lot of last season. And obviously he looks like he's better this season, but I don't think he's ever been injured to where he had to miss that kind of time.
Right.
And, and it just shows you what's going on with these race cars. Yeah.
And I was talking to some guys Friday night at I-96, and I asked the question, I said, so what do we do? And really, there's no answer. The only answer is to completely redesign the sprint car from what we know it today, and change the entire geometry, the entire look of these race cars to really get what you need. And I don't think anybody's going to be on board with that.
Yeah, I mean, they're designed to flip, right? I mean, you don't want to see it, but have you seen a big 410 sprint car race where nobody's flipped or went over? It's kind of what you have to deal with. Now, how do you solve that? Is there additional safety equipment that can soften the blow? I don't know. I'm not a safety guy. And I didn't sleep in a Holiday Inn Express last night, so I don't.
Right. And I'm not an engineer either, right? I mean, there are people a lot smarter than us who are looking into this, and there's been a lot of seat technology for these sprint cars that are looking at this. But I was told Friday night that one of the problems is that the sprint car drivers sit so straight up and down that there is no give. Wing sprint cars have a lot of crush zones. The top wing obviously dissipates a lot of force when you flip over in a winged sprint car. Even the non-wing sprint car, when you flip over one of those cars, those bars are designed in a way that they dissipate the energy as you're flipping. But when you hit square with the bottom of the race car, Rich, there's nowhere for that energy to go.
And my first thought would be, is there a way that you could put foam below the seat to absorb something?
And I think they're working on that. I think they're working on the pucks to put under the seats, but I don't know that technology has been completely proven yet, is what's delaying that.
Yeah, and you obviously on the racing side, you don't want that driver up anywhere higher on the floor than he has to be.
Right.
You want him as low as he can. But there has to be some kind of way to, it's going that maybe that puck collapse at so many pounds of pressure, and maybe that'll kind of do a little bit of give. That's just a novice engineer in me thinking something along those lines.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what happens. Corbin doing well. Glad to hear that. And looking forward to seeing him back out at the racetrack again as soon as possible. So what about the results? Well, at I-96, how about Clinton Boyles? I went over and talked to him. I said, all right, welcome back to Michigan. He goes, where's the 360s? We could have had a 410 360 combo event. I said, that's pretty wishful thinking. I appreciate that. But Clinton put on a clinic on Friday night, Rich, and went to Victory Lane. Then Saturday, IRA goes down the street to Butler Motor Speedway. How about the Aussie? 2 starts this year at Butler and 2 wins for Brock Hallett. He goes to Victory Lane on Saturday. 34 cars, I believe, unloaded at Butler Motor Speedway on Saturday night for a chance to race with IRA, so good job there. All right, this was big news from the pavement side, Rich. I want to get your reaction. Berlin Raceway. Yes, I do. I want to hear it raw and unfiltered. Berlin Raceway walking back their decision to go to American Racers this year.
I don't know what happened.
I know what happened, but go ahead.
I don't know. I think it's just hard in the middle of a season. That's why, you made a commitment. Everybody else made the commitment that you asked them to make. You put them on American Racers, and now you're not happy. Nobody's happy with the show that's being put on or how the tires are performing. That's what I don't know. I'm not a technical tire guy. That's part of our tire conversation that we always have that I don't know anything about, right? I don't make tires. We've talked to Irish Saunders before. He's the smart guy with the tires and how they work, not us. But I don't know. I don't know how you do it in the middle of the season. That's my only point.
Yeah, I think that the Money in the Bank was the tipping point. There were so many tires failing, and when I say failing, we didn't have anybody blowing tires and slapping the wall and ruining race cars, but they were coming apart. They weren't lasting as long as people thought they should have. They were cording, things of that nature. To which I almost want to say, figure it out. Isn't that the point of making a tire change? Is to get some better on-track product where, the guys can't just go out there and run all out all the time. You have to preserve some tire. Look at the top echelon of the sport. NASCAR and Goodyear have been trying to figure this out for the last 4 or 5 years, however long we've been on this next-gen car, trying to figure out how to get some tire wear built back in so that the drivers can't just go full tilt all the time. That was my first thought isn't that what you want, is to have to kind of manage some tires? But I guess maybe it's a little bit more than that. It's a little bit more aggressive than that to where drivers don't feel safe on it. I'm not sure 100% either. I just know what I was hearing at Money in the Bank, and that was a lot of concerns and complaints about right front tires.
We've heard issues with the late models over the years, Zach, that you and I have worked with when Hoosier, and they maybe have issue, and they said we need something a little bit different. So Hoosier goes back to work and does a better job on the tire. If this was a Hoosier tire that was having a problem, would they just have said, hey, we're going to American Racers? Or would they have went to Hoosier and said, guys, we got a problem. Can we get this fixed now?
Well, what's the timeline? And I don't have it in front of me. So Berlin has gone from Hoosier to McCreary, so on Hoosier for a long time, to McCreary for a couple of seasons, to American Racer this year, which they didn't even get through a full season, and now they're back on Hoosiers. They're going to the F45 Star, I think is what it is. Yes, F45 Star. So that's a lot of that's a lot of discourse here in the last few seasons, but all the comments online that I've been seeing are positive. There's a lot of positive response about going back to this tire. So I don't know.
I've always been a Hoosier fan anyway. I mean, I my whole racing career I ran Hoosiers, unless I went somewhere else where the rules, and it was just for a one-off thing. And we do that very, very rarely though. But I mean, I've always been a Hoosier guy my whole career. Hopefully they get it sorted out, and this is the tire they like because they're running out of brands.
Yeah, you don't have much. You don't have anywhere else to hide at this point, right? Like, and Berlin's a tricky place, right? I mean, nobody will tell you that Berlin's an easy place, and that's on tires and on cars. So I kind of go back to what you said. I think no matter what tire you're on, you're going to have to R&D it and make sure it's going to work with your racetrack.
Yeah. Oh, I guarantee you that I don't know enough about the American racers, but I guarantee you that they're going to wear differently at Berlin and Toledo than they're going to wear at Birch Run or Flat Rock. I can almost guarantee you that.
Absolutely. Well, there you go. That's some of the news that's going on around the area, Rich. How about some winners from around the area? Obviously, we can't go over all the winners at all the racetracks. We do have all the Michigan results posted online at marknews.org if you want to find all the full results. But how about some of the items that you've cherry-picked from the weekend?
Yeah, got to start with Owasso Speedway, the Humane Society 100 for the Outlaw Super Late models. Not a giant surprise. Blake Childers puts it in victory lane at Owasso. In the MCR Dwarf Car for the Tommy Bowles Memorial, Eric Hoffman picked up the win. And then the All-American Trucks, Mark Wilcox. Outlaw Super Late models were in action twice at two different tracks this weekend, Zach. And Paul Pelletier picks up win number 2 of 2026 in the 50-lap feature event. At Flat Rock, Billy Early picked up the figure 8 win.
How about the crowd that you guys had on Saturday night at Flat Rock? I do.
Oh my gosh!
A cap off to Brandon and Liam and Scott, whoever had this idea back in the day, to put the figure 8 boat races and the school bus figure 8s, put the circle track program with it, because that place was sold out, standing room only, and everybody got a dose of everything that Flat Rock Speedway can offer.
That was sold out on Wednesday. They never even opened the ticket office. And when I got there 3 hours early, everybody, I would say 500 to 1,000 people were out in the parking lot tailgating.
Holy smokes.
Before the gates were even open in the afternoon.
Oh, so, my goodness.
I got to give a shout out. I think that's the 6th straight sellout on school bus night for Flat Rock Speedway. So now you see why they do it, right, Zach? That's why these tracks do it. It is a moneymaker, and it can make your season if you do it right. And then now Flat Rock has stepped it up and said, which a lot of tracks don't, and says, we're going to put our highest paying division with them, the Outlaws, and put them out there. And these are not race fans, a lot of them, right? They're going there for the wrecks, and they want to see school buses roll over. They got a great show, and talk to Brandon. He says, if I can get 100 of these people to come back, we've done our job.
That's right. That's exactly what you're looking to do. 100%. Okay, well, good job. How about Crystal Motor Speedway, the Dan Soleil Memorial? Now, obviously, 3 days of racing. We're not going to go over all 3 days of results. We'll give a shout out to Josh Knoll. Remember, we talked to Riley last week, and he said he's putting that car together for his dad and see what he could do. Josh did win the Thoroughby Throwdown on Thursday in the late model division, so good for him. But $11,000 payday. How about the veteran Eric Spangler from Lake City, Michigan? Starts on the outside front row, goes to victory lane in the 50-lap main event at Crystal Motor Speedway. Jeff Rhea picks up the IMC modified portion of things. Andrew Devers in the street stocks. Curtis Rice grabbing the pro stocks win. Sport compacts went to Blake Goki. Bombers, it was Nate Jones. And in the Saturday portion of things, Axel Smith and Bryson Hilliard split the 6 to 9-year-old mini wedge division, and Paxton Rhea and Chloe Smith the 10 to 14-year-old mini wedge division. So there you go. Congratulations to everybody.
Had a good time. It sounds like they had a really good time up there at Crystal, huh?
Yeah, Saturday.
I was keeping track, and it sounded like maybe some of the top dogs had a rough night. When I went through the rundown,
there were some DNFs in there. Yeah. There were some DNFs in there. So, all right, full results available online, marknews.org, if you want to see how everybody did from everywhere across the state over the weekend. One notable thing, Colin Bozel's run came to an end finally. I mean, since we've had him on the show,
he wasn't going to win them all.
I mean, He probably would have. I guess he got fenced on Saturday. He put out this whole post about it, so he might have. But Colin Bozell's run finally comes to an end, which, look out. Now, you irritate him, and now he might be back with a vengeance. So that'll be interesting. All right, we got to take a break. When we come back, we'll talk to another guy who's been driving with a vengeance this year. He's won 3 of his 5 starts with the Great Lakes Lightning Sprints. Jacob Sabaj coming up on the other side. This is the Horsepower Happenings podcast.
One of the biggest question marks for your event is, what are we going to do for food? Heavenly Smoked Barbecue is your answer. Serving Michigan and Northern Indiana, Heavenly Smoked Barbecue brings the best from the grill to your plate with pulled pork, pork belly, chicken, mac and cheese, baked beans, and more. Graduation open house, birthday parties, weddings, festivals. If it needs food, Heavenly Smoked Barbecue will offer options that will have them saying, that smells heavenly. Call 269-908-3948 or find Heavenly Smoked Barbecue on Facebook.
Mark News is back. Michigan Area Racing Connection News keeps fans in the tri-state area up to date on national headlines, local results, regional news, and so much more. Home of the Horsepower Happenings podcast, 500 Sprintcast, Gridline Social, Job Bank, Fastlane Images, KG Media, and so much more. MarkNews.org is the one stop for any race fan who needs to know what's going on in the Michigan area. Plus, get the Mark News weekly newsletter sent right to your inbox, FREE free. Sign up today and learn more at marknews.org. Marknews.org, the Michigan Area Racing Connection.
KG Media is your home for all things photography, race day social media, and more. Cody Geyer brings more than a decade of experience working with the top brands in short track racing. From individual photos to full race days, social media to PR, KG Media can make your race team, race track, or touring series stand out. For more information, go to marknews.org or visit KG Media on Facebook.
The Horsepower Happenings podcast is Michigan's short track racing authority. For nearly a decade, Horsepower Happenings has given race fans a chance to hear directly from their favorite drivers, local track owners, and promoters. Horsepower Happenings is the only podcast keeping fans engaged with Michigan area racing for 52 weeks a year. Don't miss the Horsepower Happenings podcast live on Facebook every Monday night at 6:30 and available everywhere you enjoy podcasts. Visit horsepowerhappenings.com and follow on Facebook, Instagram, X, and YouTube.
Welcome back to the Horsepower Happenings podcast. Time for our second interview tonight, and it's another first-time guest. It's our pleasure to welcome on Great Lakes Lightning Sprint regular. He ventured out and did some other stuff, too. We'll talk about that. Jacob Sabaj, welcome into Horsepower Happenings.
Thanks for having me, Zach.
I love the backdrop wall, first and foremost. There's some cardboard back there, man.
Took a lot of work to get that built up.
I tell you what, man, I want to ask you about that. You race with us. You take a break, try to do some D2 stuff, whatever. That doesn't go the way you think it's going to. You come back, you're racing with this great team with the Thompsons, and Justin Ward has a stranglehold on this division. He really does. Talk about working the programs up, between you and Arlie and everybody just playing catch up to Justin. And it feels like this year there are more people who can go out there and get a win than just Justin Ward. Talk about that development.
Yeah, and that's been the biggest struggle with us is having to chase these guys from the beginning of our career, your Justins, your Arlies. When we came in, they were already in the hyper chassis. They had the motors. They had everything you needed. And we started with old henches, old motors, and had to kind of build our program, build our knowledge, because we came straight from the go-kart stuff right to the Lightning Sprint, which was I would say a smooth transition, more or less. But yeah, to come in and try to fight for a championship, it's a attrition thing is what I've learned, right? You got to have, if you can't have a couple cars sitting there, you got to have the motors, you got to have the spare parts. And that's kind of what we struggled with at the beginning of our, I guess you could say our Lightning career, was we didn't have the stuff in the trailer we needed for a full year to be put together. And when you run the cars as hard as you do, you turn these Lightning Sprints at 14,500 RPMs, and they're cranking every week. And it's hard to keep that together week in and week out. So the team we built this year has really helped. We've brought the people in, the knowledge in. more. I mean, we all know it takes money, right? So we got more money backing us, and we've got what we need now. We can't run for a championship this year, obviously. We missed our first two races, just getting the cars around and whatnot. So yeah, I think we have the people in place and the program in place now for maybe, I don't know exactly what our upcoming years look like, but I think we have what it will take essentially to try to take that back from Justin.
Yeah. Well, and talk about that too, because Justin's not bashful about it either. Like you guys are chasing money, and Justin has the program figured out right now with Hyper and with what it takes to have the stuff in the trailer, like you said. So how tough was it, I guess, not to get kind of demoralized by, like, man, we're close, but we just can't get over that hump to figure out what he's got and to take him down. And now you're 3 for 5 this year. Arlie's ripped off a couple this year, obviously out of kind of Justin's camp. You've got a teammate who I think is going to be challenging here pretty soon.
Yeah.
That young man has showed some speed. We talk all the time that even on the super sprint side, right? Like Max Stambaugh's winning championships 4 years in a row, but guys are catching him. And when you're the guy out front and people are trailing you down, they're improving their program and you don't necessarily know how. So like, what things did you guys do to track him down?
I think really it started from the knowledge standpoint, bringing guys. So when we brought the Thompsons on with Grayson and AJ, their whole life is surrounded by racing and people, and they race go-karts on a national level, and they have connections in every avenue of racing you could possibly think of. And I think that was a big part of this year, is just bringing on more knowledge. And we've really honed in on setups, and you've heard it a million times. It's races are won in the shop at the end of the day. If you don't put the time in, you can be the best driver in the world, but if your equipment's not going to last, it is what it is. So I guess knowing what to do and having the right equipment, motor packages, we've been, aside from our first year, we've always been in a Hyper, which is for sure, my opinion, that's your go-to chassis for a Lightning. So we've got all the parts and pieces now, and on top of the knowledge. And I think that's what you're seeing from everybody. I mean, I feel when you show up to the racetrack now, there's, I guess I don't know how to say it without sounding maybe.
No, do it.
Yeah.
No,
so like the, 2 years ago, there was probably 3 guys that were going to show up and win the race. Right. And that's just how it was. And I think it just shows this year. And unfortunately our car count's down, but I do feel even with the car count down, the people that are showing up, you see that they've put the more effort into their programs and just, I think maybe taking it more serious. I don't know, because I mean, the one thing with the Lightning Group is it's a developmental, I would say, series, right? You got your kids coming up through it. Maybe you have your old timers settling down in it. And it's kind of like it's a good home for people now. Like in my instance, I've always drove for somebody. I've always had a car owner, and this is just kind of where we've been led to right now. And that's also rolls into the program we've built with the team. We hopefully, if everything goes good in the future, we would love to put, a 360 program together or whatever. Like that's always been the ultimate goal. But for now, yeah, just my knowledge now, through the years of doing it and bringing on AJ and the people he knows, from tire guys to whatever, it's been a tremendous help. And I think you'll see it out of our whole program.
Jacob, in years past, even with Zach's involvement, right, with GLSS and everything, we never had a Great Lakes Lightning Sprint driver on the show, and this year, you guys are coming on, and so for the fans watching, kind of explain to them, best you can in their terms, what you guys what you guys have, and what kind of show you guys put on.
Yeah, so I mean, I guess the way I could best explain it is it's essentially you take a midget, you put wings on it, and you got 1,000 cc bike motor, which, I would say to give you a good average, you're 185 horse to some guys are probably 210, 215, give or take. You know what I mean? I would say in that range, right? So, yeah, so, they're chain driven cars, and we're not putting 950 horse down like the 410s we just got to watch at I-96, right? So I-96 is a really big track for us, and we try to do the best we can putting on a show. But you take a lightning sprint and put it on a quarter-mile track, in my opinion, they're very, very exciting cars to watch. I mean, the difference is we don't have the power, but we can put the power to the ground, right? Whereas you watch a 360 guy on maybe a small quarter mile spinning the whole time, they're finessing the cars, because our lap times realistically aren't that far off from those guys on smaller tracks, right?
Now I'm going to look up the times at Silver Bullet, because Silver Bullet's a perfect example.
Example.
Those 360 guys can't get out of their own way at Silver Bullet, but you guys can get around that place pretty good.
Yeah, and then you look at like Arlie earlier this year, right, at Mount Pleasant. I think I seen on Facebook he broke the track record, and he was 101.5 miles an hour. So it's not like these cars aren't slouches, right? For the ones who hasn't had the opportunity to watch or see it, like they still get down pretty good for what they are.
And my opinion is, we talked about Justin and Arlie. We had Arlie on the show, and yourself. Man, you give me 3 or 4 or 5 cars that can put on a show for me for the win. That's pretty good for me if I'm going racing and I want to go watch.
Yeah, 100%. And that's kind of why I was saying with the smaller tracks, I think we put on a great show. And now, like 96, it can get long. We can get pretty spread out. It gets drawn out, and unfortunately, that probably isn't the best to watch from a fan's perspective. Now, for me, I was having a ball out there. I don't know what her mile an hour was, but it still feels like you're boogieing around there, and yeah, I mean, they're fun. They're fun cars. They're great cars to learn, the basics of sprint cars. If that is your goal, to come up through the classes of sprint cars and move into a big car, I mean, you can go run a micro, but it's for one, there is no micro racing in Michigan, and for two, I don't feel that would correlate as well as a Lightning does, because your engine's still in front of you. It's not offset. Everything is exactly the same. You just don't have a drive shaft and 1,000 horse sitting in front of you. You know what I mean? So, your old Henchcraft cars, those are 4-bar cars. So, guys you're already getting the basics of the changes you got to make and all the basic stuff. So I think it's a great thing, and it's a great series for what it is.
I'm going to catch some slack for this. But I tell people all the time when I come on this show to forget that I'm the general manager of Great Lakes Sprints, okay? Because I'm doing this media show. May 2nd of 2026, the Great Lakes Lightning Sprints were at Silver Bullet Speedway. And the quick time award went to Justin Ward, who turned a time of 14.101, 14.101. Would you like to know what fast time was for the Great Lakes Super Sprints in August of 2025? Any guesses before we reveal the answer? Rich is already leaning back. He's, what's the over under? Rich is the betting man. He wants to know.
I heard earlier he's a betting man. I'd like to hear his answer.
I'm gonna say so, not as much as you think. I'm gonna say mid-13s.
Okay, Jacob, do you have a guess?
What'd you say Justin time was? 14 what?
14.1.
14.1. I'm gonna go. Man, I'm gonna get yelled at for this. I'm gonna go 14.8.
Dustin Daggett set fast time in August of 2025 at Silver Bullet Speedway with a 14.260.
Oh, okay.
14.2.
Oh, we're within a 1/10 of a second, and you guys were a 1/10 of a second faster at Silver Bullet in May. Now, obviously, there's a lot that goes into that. That track was in pretty good shape in May. You weren't there, Jacob, but it did. It had some moisture in it. It was pretty fast. And August is a tough time to race in Michigan. It's hot, it's dry. But that proves the point. I mean, you guys are getting it when you guys are out there on the racetrack. And A lot of people will say, well, if it's hammered down, there's not going to be any passing. But man, Arlie and Jacob, or Arlie and oh my goodness, Justin, thank you. They put on a great show in May, and then you throw yourself in there. You throw Bill Dunham in there, who's been fast.
I need
Chad
to figure out
Listerman.
his quick time secrets. Bill Dunham, man, he's so fast early in
He
the
is
night.
so fast during qualifying. So you guys don't get strung out on those quarter miles. The racing is good, and you are going 110% the whole time. Now, what's that like from the seat? Because when you are having to give 100% all the time, how are you being fast? How are you making sure that you're getting to victory lane?
Yeah, I mean, and it's, again, for people that do follow the big cars, it's essentially the same stuff. So when you're setting the car up throughout the night, I mean, we do the same stuff they do from the standpoint of, if it slicks off real bad, you're pulling stagger out of it, you're changing your gearing, all the basic stuff from that point. And then we have the wings, which they're not hydraulic wings like a full size car, but we have electric motor on them. Same thing. You have your wing adjustments you can make, your wing angle you can make before you go out. So the way they find speed is essentially the same things we do to find speed. Just the difference is, and years ago, I got to drive Jay Steinbeck's. I drove his non-wing car, ironically enough, at Silver Bullet. And so, like, the thing I noticed the most is, well, for one, not having a wing, that was a total change for me. But for two, just finessing the car. Like, when you have 900 horse and you got to get that to the ground on a dirt track, you're having to find ways with your feet to get it to work, right? Whereas if we get our cars geared right, 99% of the time, and it doesn't always, I guess, correlate, but a lot of the times you're to the floor and you're just using your brake pedal, right? So, like, if it slicks off super bad, you might have to get out of it a little bit, but most of the time your car's set up good, you're getting the power to the ground, you're not having to lift in a lightning. And I think, maybe that's the difference too in your middle of the pack to front runner guys, as your front runner guys as Arlie and Justin and myself and Bill. I guess with experience comes confidence, right? So when you can trust your equipment and trust that you can get around a track with a car like that, because it's a weird thing to tell yourself, you're coming into a turn.
Keep it bent.
Yeah, you got to go back the other way and you can't pull your foot off the floor to be fast. It is a weird feeling. So, yeah, I don't know. I think, like, overall, the way we find speed is the way they find speed. And I don't know. I think overall, I think they're really incredible cars for what they are.
I agree with you. So let's talk about your season. You said you got a late start. You were trying to make sure everything was right, getting the cars dialed in. 3 of 5, man. Pretty good year. Like you said, you're out of the points, but you add your third win of the year on Friday night at I-96. What do you attribute that to? And I know we already kind of talked about that. You're dialing everything in, but this is a good season for you.
Yeah, we're putting a good year together, and all the help we have off of the track, and the people in the shop. And I can't stress it enough. My car stays up at AJ's in Clio at his race shop, and we're up there, 2, 3, 4 times a week. And in between my normal job and my kids and my wife, and it takes a lot, it takes a lot of time. And really, we just put the right people in place. In year 2024, we had a great year. We won, I believe it was 9 shows in 2024. And unfortunately, we didn't win that championship either due to not having what we needed in the trailer. So, yeah, really, it's just, I think having, AJ, Alex, just so many people, John, my car owner, Chad Listerman, who actually drives, he's one of our drivers. And then our other car owner, Larry Shade, just everybody involved in the programs really stepped it up this year from every avenue it takes to put a good program together. And really, I'm the lucky guy that gets to hold the wheel, right? And it's just everything's adding up finally, and it's just taken years to get where we needed to be. Now, that being said, when I first started, which I believe was 2023, we bought old $7,500 Henchcraft with an old motor, and we managed to pull our first win off with that. So I think that was when I was able to look at it and go, this is something we can do. We have what it takes to do this. And then Larry was able to see that. And moving forward, when you can prove you can do what you have to on the track and put the dedication in off of the track, people want to be involved in that and want to be involved in a good program. And really, that's what I would have to say is the biggest thing is just we've hustled in the years past. We've proven we can do it, and just people have came on, and it's been a tremendous help.
Jacob, I like your energy, man. And there's one of us three that are on this program tonight knows some 360 wing sprint car owners, right?
Yeah.
I think you got to beat up that guy and say, hey, maybe in conversations you need to name drop a little bit, because I don't think you need to be running lightning sprints too long.
No, yeah, and it's definitely when we first started doing it, it wasn't necessarily it wasn't going to be our home, right? We weren't going to be a lightning sprint driver forever. Now, that being said, I've got nothing. This is an amazing series. It's an amazing group of guys. And the one thing I do like about it, it's a very family oriented, like everybody loves everybody for the most part. It's racing. So no matter what, you're going to have your couple guys that whatever. And this year it's pretty fun because we got the whole JWR LCA rivalry going on, right? So that's been a pretty fun thing to be a part of. But yeah, in Grayson, right? For Grayson coming up, he's 13-year-old kid, and I'm telling you what, he's gonna be a handful for everybody. And same for them. This isn't their home, right? They're not gonna be lightning sprint drivers forever. Again, it all rolls into the team we put together, the future. We want to move together from this point on is hopefully the plan, right? So plans change, things can happen, but for now, it's a huge part of it. And he's such a young talent. I think he's going to be, he's just going to be one of those phenomenal drivers, right? He just has the touch, and to be able to grow with them, I think, is a huge thing for me as well. And so, yeah, I mean, hopefully, I would say in a few years, you see both of us in the 360. That would be the ultimate goal right there.
I want to say real quick, this interview is brought to you by marknews.org. Of course, that's the parent company to Horsepower Happenings. But if you ever miss the podcast, check out all the things happening at marknews.org, from results to stories, national recaps, local recaps, and be sure to follow along on Mark News on Facebook. We've got reporters on site at the racetracks on the weekends covering your local events from top to bottom with behind the scenes coverage, and sponsorship opportunities are available there as well. We've got a full schedule of coverage coming up on Mark News on Facebook, and then of course on marknews.org. So I want to talk about, because lightning sprints were not going to be your home, you did try to branch out. You did try to go D2 racing. I know that whole experiment was not even close to the way you had it drawn up. But talk about that experience and kind of, what you were able to take away from it. And I guess what went wrong when you look back at it.
Yeah. So that's I've got nothing bad to say. Yes, it did not go the way we wanted it to, but it was overall a very cool experience. Really what it boiled down to was just the point of my life I'm in with growing my business and my family. We were every weekend, you're Indiana or Ohio, and when your closest track's 4 or 5 hours away, that's tough, because then in the traveling, we were a one-man show at that time. This was before we had the whole LCA thing. So I'm driving the car down there, wrenching on the car, trying to be a dad, trying to work. And it's just, it was tough from that aspect, but the positives was, we got to do a lot of cool stuff, right? Like, that was the first time I did get to venture out of the state. I guess with the Lightnings, we go down to Millstream, which, shout out to Matt and Beth Cogley. They're lightning sprint guys as well, so that's why we get to go down there. So that was a cool thing. But I get to go, I got to go to Lima Land. I got to go race at Eldora and Waynesfield, and just these cool other facilities that people our local guys don't get to go do. So that was very cool. I wanted to take the wings off too, and I wanted to just see what that was about, and ultimately, I wanted to set myself up to get some experience non-wing, because at some point in my life, I want to go run the Chili Bowl, and so
there you go.
I wanted to get experience in that, and it was a big snowball effect, right? The car we got was an older car. Like we didn't set ourselves up with the best equipment to go out and run with those guys, right? So we bought an older car. We put a ton of money into fixing it up. Had motor problems all year. Could never ever figure out what was going on with it. So we would drive, like we drove all the way to Eldora for family fireworks night, and it was packed house. Like I'm having the time of my life. We pull out on the feature. I get like 5 laps in, whatever it was, 5-10 laps. It wasn't that much. And then the car starts shutting off on me and dying. I have electrical issues all the time. So like, I guess when you show up every weekend and you have problems, you can't fix the problems being a one-man show. It was just, it gets hard and it kind of takes your mojo out of it, right? So we ended up pulling the plug on that program. And then that's, before we went midget racing, we had that other hyper we had sold to Chad Listerman. And that's how that relationship actually started, was he bought my old car. We built a very good relationship. He's an amazing guy. And, he put his trust into me, went out and bought another car and was like, hey, on your off weekends, will you drive, would you come drive my Lightning for me? And so that's kind of how that started. And so my mind on our off season was, you know what, we have this ride. Let's just get another year in of what we know and, build off of it. And I was in talks with Grayson. I've known Grayson's dad for such a long time. That's actually who got me into racing years ago. AJ's such a good dude and followed my career, my whole career, from the go-karts till now. And, I got on the phone with him. I was like, let's get Grayson in one of these and just, let's see what he can do. And clearly I think we made a good move bringing him on. So, and so that's kind of what happened with the whole midget thing and why we're back doing what we're doing now. But it's just, to take the step back and build the program, I think is going to benefit the future.
So let's the people that are listening and want to come out and see you guys run, talk about your next couple of weeks where you're going to be.
Yeah, so actually this coming up weekend, we were supposed to go down with the MMSA series and run down at, I believe it was Circle City we were going, but we got our eye on that weather app and it's not looking good right now. So I don't know if we're going to do that. And then the following week, I believe we have a doubleheader. I'd have to look at the schedule to be exact, but I believe.
Are you asking me? Because I don't have it in front of me.
Zach's got the answer.
I could be wrong.
I always
Zach,
have to look at the schedule.
I believe it's a Merritt Mount Pleasant doubleheader. Could be wrong.
I don't know. Let me look. Everybody, what's the schedule? I don't know. I got to look at it. I have to look at it every week to know where I'm going.
Where's the Jeopardy theme song when you need
and what the Facebook page needs to do, they need to pin the schedule at the top. That's my go-to to find it.
Noah is our social media guy. He's producing this show, so that's a great suggestion. Yes, you are spot on. July 2nd and 3rd, Merritt Speedway, Mount Pleasant Speedway are back-to-back. And then there's a schedule correction coming, Tri-City Motor Speedway on 7/17. Then you've got the Fairgrounds race the following week, which I'm really excited for.
Yeah, that's such a cool event. And actually, shout out to Chad Listerman again. That's the event. When he bought my car and came on, he really pushed to have that event back at the Ionia Fairgrounds. Because before my time, I believe, and you could correct me, I believe, didn't the big cars always had an Ionia Fairgrounds show, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
So it's kind of cool to bring that little bit of history back. And I guess I can't spill any beans quite yet, but
I know, but the rumor's loud, man.
If the rumor's loud, I'll just let the rumor be loud for now. I don't want to be the one getting in trouble.
Don't be the one.
Wait a minute. Two people on this show should not know something that the other doesn't. Let's go now.
I guess you should have been at I-96 on Friday. You probably would have heard the rumor.
Yeah,
too.
Exactly. It's a behind the scenes thing.
The celebrity guest appearance at the Ionia Fairgrounds. Is that fair?
That's the best way to put it.
Okay. There you go. That's not well, and the deal's not done either. There's still a lot of things that have to happen.
Exactly. It's not 100%, so I'm not saying anything, but it's going to be such a cool thing, I feel like, and a big draw. I think I mean, when we went there last year, that was actually the first race that I had came out of the midget to go run for Chad, and it was a nightmare for us with car problems all night again, but that was just the way that year went for me.
Didn't you blow a motor up?
No, a chain kept coming off.
Oh, that's what it was.
Threw a chain every time it hit the track and just couldn't fix it. We blew a motor this year though. That was why we missed our first crystal race. We pull out to qualify. I make it into turn one and grenade the motor in 3 seconds of being on the track. So
Good times.
Great times. But yeah, no, shout out to Chad for bringing that history back to the fairgrounds. And I'm excited for people to find out if everything goes good with what we got going. I think it'll be such a cool opportunity for people to come see.
It really will. All right, I got to ask you this because you mentioned it, and it's no secret. Numbers are fluctuating with the Lightning Sprints, and you've been in it. You've got aspirations to get out of it. You've seen drivers come back to it. I guess help me sell and help Justin and help these chassis builders sell a Lightning Sprint around here. You know, like there's so much fun to be had, and that's what racing's all about. But why should drivers be looking at Lightning Sprints? Your guys like Darren Nida have come out of them. Jack Nichols, a former champion, running the big car now. There's a lot to be learned from a Lightning Sprint, I think.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of different avenues of why they are great cars. I mean, and it depends on what you want to do in your racing career. If you're a dad and you got big aspirations for a kid coming up, for your kid coming up and going through the ranks or whatever, it's such a great learning tool. Like I was saying earlier, it's essentially just a little big car, right? So the operation of the car minus the drive shaft is fairly close. So you're going to learn how to take care of a car week in and week out. You're going to learn how to make changes on a car. You're going to learn how to find speed on the track. So from a learning avenue, it's a great car to learn and use as a stepping stone to move on. And I feel when you make that move to a big car, you have everything, not necessarily everything in your notebook you'll need, but you'll have that much more going into it. You'll have to figure out less when you get there, right? So it's great for that. It's great for if you're an older guy and you don't want to wheel a 360 around anymore or 410, and you're looking for maybe not as stout of a schedule, right? So, the way I look at it, to be competitive, I would say to be your top guys in your 360 or 410, you need to be in that car, 40 to 50 times a year. And just, it's no secret, seat time and learning, and that's just what it takes. And I don't feel you have to necessarily, you get your week off in a Lightning or you don't have to be at every show, whatever. It's easier to put the car in the garage and take a week off if you have to, financially too. You're not putting a $50,000, $60,000 motor in front of you. And there's so many ways to go at it. Yeah, you can dump really big money into it. But like I said, I won my first race in a $7,500 Henchcraft my rookie year. So, I mean, to do that shows you don't necessarily have to go spend your big money. You can't hardly go kart racing for cheaper than that. And the weekly operation costs, you're not necessarily smoking a set of tires a night, even if the track's super abrasive. You're going to get a couple weeks out of your rubber, and you're not having to. I don't know. I guess I've seen the big cars. I've helped with Jay Steinbeck stuff. I drove his car. I put a used tire on that car when I went out there to drive it at Silver Bullet. And I'm no non-wing guy, right? So I was running middle of the pack, and I wasn't lighting the world on fire. And I come off, and the thing's completely bald. And I'm like, oh my God, the fuel you guys put into these, the tires you got to put on, like it's a serious that's what makes it hard to do it, is just the financial standpoint. And it's not really financially strapping in the Lightning. It's very reasonable for what it is. Any racing takes money, like we said earlier, but it's very reasonable for what it is. And it is, if you're looking for just Friday night fun or Saturday night fun, and the people are great, everybody's willing to help. Yes, it's very competitive, but it's also everybody's there to help you and to be your friend. So there's really as many reasons why they are great cars to get in.
All right, Jacob, before we let you out of here, I'm still enamored with your wallpaper. I think that's awesome back there behind you. But that doesn't come free, right? There's a lot of people that help you out. We want to give you a chance to give them a shout out.
Yeah, so we'll start with my sponsors. CNL Trucking and Excavating, Digitrace, Rankin Speed Designs. Then you gotta, for one, I gotta thank Barry and Zach and the whole Great Lakes Sprints team that puts on the shows that without them, we would have nowhere to race, right? So big shout out to them. And then all the guys at the shop, AJ, Alex, John, Grayson, myself, my wife for giving me all the free time, to go do it. It really does take a lot of time. And, most importantly, I got to thank God just for putting everybody in place that has been brought into my life to put me to where I am in my racing career has been, really tremendous. So yeah, I'm sure I am forgetting people, and there really has been a lot of people involved in this whole program, and my racing career in general. But for now, that's about who I can think of.
All right, man. Well, hey, congratulations on the wins. Nice job so far this season. And good luck the rest of the way, man. I know you said you're out of championship contention, but you know what? You finished second in 2024, like you said, with 9 wins. So what the heck? Run it back one more time, I suppose.
Yep. As long as we can throw a wrench in Justin's plans, that's what we're here for.
Jacob, man, congratulations. Nice job. Thanks so much.
Yep. Thank you.
All right, we'll take a real quick timeout, come back, look at the upcoming calendar, and then wrap this one up. This is the Horsepower Happenings podcast.
Friday and Saturday, June 26th and 27th, it's the Go for Broke 150 at Owasso Speedway, powered by Lunghammer Ford of Owasso. Friday night brings the Valley Freightliner Modifieds, Durotech Mini Wedges, and stick around after racing for a party in the pits. Saturday, the Modifieds return with the Applebee's Oil and Propane Sport Compacts, and it all builds to the Go for Broke main event, $10,500 to win and $100 to each lap leader. Front gates open at 4 with racing starting at 6 both nights. Don't miss the high-octane 2-night showdown at Owasso Speedway.
Mark News is back. Michigan Area Racing Connection News keeps fans in the tri-state area up to date on national headlines, local results, regional news, and so much more. Home of the Horsepower Happenings podcast, 500 Sprintcast, Gridline Social, Job Bank, Fastlane Images, KG Media, and so much more. MarkNews.org is the one stop for any race fan who needs to know what's going on in the Michigan area. Plus, get the Mark News weekly newsletter sent right to your inbox, FREE free. Sign up today and learn more at marknews.org. Marknews.org, the Michigan Area Racing Connection.
Welcome back to Horsepower Happenings, and now we get to go through, Zach, what we got going on this week. And I'm going to start this one off. You can just sit there and listen to this one because I think it's
okay. I'll listen.
All right. Owasso Speedway, we talked about this earlier. Friday and Saturday, 2-day show. Go for Broke 150. Friday will be the mini wedges and the modifieds. Saturday, sport compacts and modifieds. Both days, gates open at 4 p.m., racing at 6 p.m. at Owasso.
Yeah, and it's a weekend of double headers, Rich. The IMSA stand-up super modifieds are in town this weekend, Friday and Saturday night at Berlin Raceway. Mark News will have some coverage for you on Friday night. And that'll be accompanied by super late models and sportsmen. Then Saturday night, limited late models and 4-cylinders will be in action for their 2-day show. Advanced tickets, gate times, and everything you need to know is available online at berlinraceway.com. And then not to be left out, want to mention what's going on at I-96 Speedway on Friday night. It's Kids Night, Rich, and Fan Appreciation Night. It's also a Michigan Auto Racing Fan Club night. So if you have a fan club membership, you get in the gate, FREE free, and it is autograph night. So late models, IMC modified, street stocks, compacts, and mini wedges. General admission at I-96 on Friday, just $10. to get through the gate. And that's Kids Night, Fan Appreciation Night, and Michigan Auto Racing Fan Club Night, all on Friday night. Oh, and Autograph Night, all on Friday night at I-96. It's a great Friday to go to I-96.
And then I'm going to jump in to steal yours. Man, another event at Butler Motor Speedway, just another one on the docket. USAC AMSOIL National Sprint Cars, Zach, UMP Modifieds and Street Stocks will join them as well. Tim Woolward and scare at anybody. He'll just bring them all in, right?
Yep. Bring them in. Bring them in. So that's going to do it for our program tonight. Don't forget to check out our great supporters here on Horsepower Happenings. And next week, a rare fifth Monday show. Does that mean we're doing anything different? No. I don't know what that means, but it's a fifth Monday. We don't get very many of those. So
that's the one we got to work and don't get paid, right? Because we only get paid.
Yeah,
4 days a month.
Right. Yeah. Thanks for that reminder, Rich. All right. Perfect. Don't pay Rich for Monday. All right. That's going to do it for our program tonight. Thanks so much to Nick Clemens for being on the show, for Jacob Sabaj making time to be on as well. And I want to say thanks to everybody for tuning in, whether you're watching it back on YouTube, Facebook, or listening at work in your car on Spotify, Apple, iHeart, anywhere that you enjoy podcasts. You can find Horsepower Happenings. For Noah Longyear, our producer, Rich France, my co-host, I'm Zach Heiser, and we'll talk to you same time, same place next week, right here on Horsepower Happenings.
You've been listening to Horsepower Happenings. The views and opinions expressed in tonight's show may not directly reflect that of Horsepower Happenings. The contents of this program may not be reproduced, retransmitted, or disseminated without the express written consent of Horsepower Happenings. Follow Horsepower Happenings on Facebook, Instagram, X, and all major podcast platforms, including Spotify, iHeart, iTunes, and Pandora, to keep up on what's happening.